Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Shout out to those of you who are watching on Spotify and YouTube. Man, check this out. On this episode, what I want to talk about is a specific meme that I saw on Facebook the other day. And I'll be honest, when I saw the meme, it stumped me. And there's not a lot of things that make me kind of stop in my tracks and give it a lot of thought. Normally, when I'm scrolling on social media, I'm doing just that. I may hit you with a little like, I may hit you with a little heart, and then I keep it going. But this particular day, I had to stop and think about what it was that I was reading. And I'm going to read it to you because first and foremost, I had to screenshot this, right? Because if I didn't screenshot this, I was not going to make this an episode. There's no way if I didn't screenshot it, it was going to be an episode. So let me give the proper credit to the entity that did it. It was called HBCU Pride Nation. I don't think I'm a member of this group, but it was on my timeline. So you know how that goes. If you have enough people in a particular group and they're liking and commenting, a lot of times not their responses, but it's something that you're in. And obviously I probably said HBCU or something on Facebook. I know I have because I've had episodes about it. Nonetheless, it appeared on my timeline. Okay, so the meme, and I'm going to read it in its entirety. It goes as follows. If you had to choose an HBCU to graduate from, other than the one that you did, which one would you choose? And I got to tell you, that made me stop for a second. And it actually made me stop for a couple of seconds. And it stumped me because honestly, I had never given any thought about graduating from any other school other than the school that I attended and graduated from, and that is South Carolina State University. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you see my jersey hanging up over here, and you see my helmet right here. If you've been around me or you've listened to this podcast, you know, according to my boy King Germ from Pod and Saved Our Marriage, shout out to Germ. Germ says that I mention South Carolina State on every episode. I don't think that I do, but he may not be far off from the truth. But nonetheless, I mean, I honestly had never given it any thought because once I chose South Carolina State, other than somewhere around my sophomore year, I never thought about going anywhere else. And I only gave it some thought as like my sophomore year as to possibly leaving is because I was, as the kids say, down bad. I was down bad. I was doing okay in school, but I was playing football and I wasn't getting any playing time. And I was, frustrated. I had a relationship that had gone south. And I was like, why am I here? Like I could go someplace else and start over. And it didn't help that the coach that recruited me to come to South Carolina State, Coach Blunt, shout out to Coach Blunt. I know you're watching. Shout out. Coach Blunt was leaving South Carolina State where he was the offensive coordinator, and he was going to Winston-Salem State where he would be the head coach. And if I'm not mistaken, Coach Blunt is Winston-Salem State alum. So, with that all in play, I was like, I might as well leave, like the guy who recruited me to come here, maybe I should follow him and go to his school. Of course, now there was no, NIL deals or anything like that. There was no money involved where something would sweeten the pot for me to leave Orangeburg and the campus of South Carolina State University. But, I was trying to figure it out, and I'll be honest, this is a conversation that I did not share with my parents until, years later. And so they had no idea that I had even considered leaving, but it was definitely on the table. It was definitely on, and it didn't help that a couple of my teammates were leaving too. And so like with that being said, and things not necessarily going that well, and if you're going to transfer, I'll be honest, that's the time to transfer. That's the time to leave. Like you want to leave after your freshman year, or at the very least your sophomore year. After that, you might as well stick it out. You shouldn't be a senior transferring to another school unless they drop your program or something. But anyway, so the meme got me thinking, because again, other than that particular year, I never had considered leaving Orangeburg. It was a place that was home. South Carolina State had become home. I had my cousins there. I had a lot of friends. I had my teammates. And my hometown of Florence, South Carolina is only 90 miles away from Orangeburg. So an hour and a half, I'm back home, chilling, with the family if I wanted to. So there was, I can't say there was trepidation, but like I said, I never ever considered anywhere else. And so when I came upon this meme, it literally stumped me, because I had not given it any thought. But if you had to choose an HBCU to graduate from other than the one that you did, which one would you choose? And again, that stumped me, because I've never thought about graduating from anywhere else. Fortunately enough for me, I stayed. I graduated. I would meet a young lady who I would fall in love with, and be married at the time of this recording for 25 years, and we have 4 beautiful kids, and we've created a life for ourselves. And I will tell anyone that one of the best decisions that I made was to attend South Carolina State University. So with the backdrop of all of that, if I had to pick another school, that's asking a lot, because I'll be honest, I don't even wear other schools' paraphernalia. If you see me on this podcast, I got mad South Carolina State t-shirts, I got mad hoodies, I got hats, I got South Carolina State drawers. And so I'm garnet and blue through and through. You cut me, I bleed garnet and blue. That's what I represent. That's what's in me. That's the cloth that I'm cut from. I am a proud alum. I'm proud and love all HBCUs, but to me, there's only one. And so to get in the mindset of thinking about another school, it's kind of tough. And to give you an example, our oldest son, Dion, who's 26 years old at the time of this recording, he recently graduated. He got his master's degree from Alabama A&M in Huntsville, Alabama, another HBCU. And Dion also got his undergraduate degree from Alabama A&M as well. Here's the thing. When he was in school as an undergraduate, I remember we went to his homecoming, and my wife got the idea of, hey, let's get some A&M t-shirt, because I went to the homecoming with SC State t-shirts, because I had planned to wear my SC State stuff. I didn't feel the need to be on their campus wearing Alabama A&M stuff. Now, both school mascots are the Bulldogs, but that's beside the point. But no, I had no desire to blend in with the Alabama A&M crowd. I wanted to be the only person in their stadium with a SC State shirt on. But my wife convinced me that, hey, we should get some Bulldog paraphernalia for Alabama A&M. And so we went to the little local Walmart. I got a shirt or two. I think I got a short sleeve shirt and a long sleeve shirt. Now, this particular day, it was every bit of 1,000 degrees outside. So the short sleeve shirt had to roll. So I bought 2 short sleeve shirts and a long sleeve shirt. And those are the only shirts that I have that has Alabama A&M on it. And I wore that shirt that day. And I'll be honest, I haven't worn that shirt since. In fact, that particular t-shirt that I wore that day, I don't know where it is. It's no longer in my closet. It's not in my drawers anywhere. I don't know where it is. I do know that I have a dry fit shirt that says Alabama A&M, and I've worked out in that a couple of times. That's in my drawer upstairs. And the long sleeve t-shirt that I bought that particular day, I wore that maybe 2 or 3 times. And I've also thought about donating these shirts to charity, because here's the thing. I'm never going to wear that stuff again. I'm never wearing it again because I'll be honest, it didn't feel comfortable on me. So I just, long story short, I just didn't feel comfortable in another school's gear. And so our second son, Cameron, who recently graduated from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is an HBCU as well. When Cameron made his announcement that he wanted to go to Southern University, well, we knew he was going, but he got accepted and everything. We had a high school graduation / college party for him. And at the party, someone made these t-shirts for us. And my t-shirt had the Southern Jaguar, which was their mascot, on it. And it said, I think on the back it said Southern Dad, or just said Dad, I think on the back. Like maybe it wasn't on the front. I think it was on the front. So it said, it had the Jaguar and then it had Dad up under it. And so that was to let people know that, my child was attending Southern University. And I remember wearing that shirt that particular day. Are you feeling nostalgic for the golden eras of rap and soul music? If so, tune in to the Rap Soul Podcast. We are your weekly journey through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, spotlighting the music and the hidden gems that shape the soundtrack of our lives. From the powerful beats to the soulful melodies, we bring you the best of the past with fresh insights and stories. Rediscover the music that defined a generation. Subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast and enjoy the vibes. If you want a podcast where culture, conversation, and life collide, where you get insightful commentary, engaging discussions, and a fresh perspective on everything, then you need to listen to the 12 Kyle podcast. Hosted by the one and only, yours truly, 12 Kyle, a voice that you know and trust. This podcast will bring you thought-provoking moments, compelling stories, and a whole lot of fun. Whether you're a first-time listener or just tuning in, each episode promises to be something new and exciting. So sit back, relax, join 12 Kyle, myself, and my guests as we break down the world around us and give you stories that you've never heard before, from nostalgic throwbacks to everything in between. The 12 Kyle podcast is a front row seat to this conversation. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of the 12 Kyle podcast, where the vibe is always real and the discussion is always worth your time.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.
I don't think I took any pictures in that shirt, but I do remember wearing that shirt that particular day. And I've never worn that shirt since then. That shirt is literally and figuratively balled up in a corner of one of my drawers, one of my dresser drawers. And I thought about throwing it away, but it's a cool shirt. But I mean, like I'm probably, then again, can you really give it away if it's got Southern University Dad on it? I mean, you can only give it really to another dad. But I wore it that day, and I'll be honest, I didn't really feel that comfortable in that shirt. And the shirt was kind of tight too. I think it was a medium. I mean, like, it wasn't a medium, but it was in between a medium and a large. I wear a large. It was a little too tight for me. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point that I'm making is that associating myself in even only for a couple of hours with another school, another HBCU, is not something that I've ever really felt comfortable with. Like, if I go to see I don't know, Howard play against Florida A&M, which I did. I saw Howard play against Florida A&M in the Celebration Bowl a few years ago at the time of this recording. And typical 12 Kyle, I show up in an SC State hoodie. And I was actually going to root on my boy Troy, who was on the staff at Florida A&M. But you were never going to catch me in Florida A&M gear. Like, that's never going to happen. Florida A&M is one of our biggest rivals. So no, I was never going to show up like that. And so it would be pointless for you to give me any Florida A&M gear, because I'm never going to wear it. I don't particularly care for the colors green and orange together. Individually, they're very cool colors, but together it looks weird to me. It always has. No shade, but it just does. But shout out to all you rappers out there. I know some very cool rappers. One of my boys, he's an alum, and I love him to life. He's from my crew. Shout out to Wood. But that being said, it's hard for me to associate myself with another college. So I said all that to say this, in that I had to, once I saw that meme, I had to then make a decision. And I'm going to read it to you again. It says, if you had to choose an HBCU to graduate from, other than the one that you did, which one would you choose? And so I didn't comment on the post. Shout out to my boy K-Dub, who I played ball with, Kevin. K-Dub said Hillman. So I thought that was hilarious. So shout out to K-Dub. But yeah, Hillman's probably the best answer. And he's a SC State alum as well. So, he's probably feeling the same way. It's hard to associate yourself with another school. But just to answer the question, if I had to graduate from another HBCU, it probably would be Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia. Couple of reasons. One, I've never been to the campus. I've heard so much about the campus. I've heard a 1,000 Hampton stories. You guys heard a Hampton story on this podcast if you've been following the podcast, because my homie, my boy from the crew, Ezel, that's where he went to school and that's where he graduated from. And he told a legendary story about that time he was hooping behind the dorm and he was going up against a young product from the area by the name of Allen Iverson. They called him Bubba Chuck. And he tells this story. If you haven't heard that episode, go back and listen to it. It's hilarious. Listen, no matter how old we are, I never get tired of hearing that story about him going up against Iverson. And I remember him telling me the story when we came home. I think we came home on break or something like that. And he was telling me about Bubba Chuck. And I'm like, well, who's Bubba Chuck? Like, who is this? Is this some mythical figure? And Bubba Chuck's younger than us. So he was like, this dude was killing us on the court. Nonetheless, I've heard a gazillion stories about Hampton, and Hampton would be the school that I would have graduated from. And I think the stories, given the fact that, Zell is my boy, we've been rolling since 7th grade. We would have been in school together. And also little known fact, the day that I got my acceptance letter from South Carolina State University, I got an acceptance letter from Hampton University as well. And those were the only two schools to give me acceptance letters. Now, I applied at like North Carolina A&T, I applied at Howard, and I'm not saying, and there's no shade on those schools. I'm almost certain that I got into those schools. I never got the paperwork. So, and keep in mind, folks, this was this was 1991 when it was the year that I enrolled in college. So there was no electronic stuff. Everything was done by paper. Could it have gotten lost in the mail? Sure. So I hold no grudges against North Carolina A&T or Howard, but those are the only schools that I applied to. And so South Carolina State and Hampton both accepted me, and I got my acceptance letters on both of them on the same day. And I just remember opening that letter and jumping up and down. And because here's the thing, I saw the Hampton letter first. I saw the Hampton letter first, and I opened that up, and then I went back through the mail, and the South Carolina State envelope was the last envelope to be opened. And I opened that up and I got accepted there as well. I didn't jump up and down with South Carolina State, ironically. But I was excited to go to Hampton, or excited to be accepted in Hampton. So I really could have envisioned myself, along with, the 1,000 stories that I heard from Zell, I could have envisioned myself graduating and becoming a Pirate alum. As fate would have it, it didn't work out that way. I still had the opportunity to attend Hampton, but when I looked at the landscape of things, I wanted to play football. I was being lightly recruited by Hampton as far as playing football, but they basically said, well, hey, you can come here and you can walk on, and we'll give you a look or what have you. And that was cool enough for me, because I knew academically I'd be able to get in and fit in with no problem. The thing that was interesting to me, at least at that particular time, was Hampton was about to go on probation, meaning that there was some type of improprieties that they did with some recruits or something. I don't know what the full story was. I didn't even get the full story. But I do know right before I found out about them going on probation, my high school quarterback, shout out to Keyshawn Durant, Keyshawn had gone to a recruiting visit at Hampton. And when he came back, man, he had all of these stories about how fine, and I'd already heard Hampton had some of the finest women to ever walk the planet, right? And so everybody's going to say that about their HBCU, but Hampton has always been, or at least in our era, was the upper echelon of fine black women. And so he went on the recruiting visit. He told me, how crazy it was and how fine the women were. And he couldn't tell me anything about the school as far as academics, but I knew Hampton was a great school academically. But so he and I talked about it. We talked about going to Hampton together. And, but when we got word that they may be going on probation, I was just like, man, that's a lot, and I want to play. I don't want to go someplace and be sitting on probation. You can't be on TV. You can't do this, can't do that. And that would have affected me on the football field when I didn't have anything to do with it. And so ironically, Keyshawn and I both go to South Carolina State. But yeah, to answer the question, if I had to graduate from another school, it would be South Carolina. Excuse me, it would be Hampton. And again, and I've never been. I think I know I've been invited several times, and I keep telling Zell, because Zell still lives there. He lives in Norfolk. I keep telling him I'm coming. One year I'm going to come, and he's like, one year I told him I was coming up there, and he's like, man, it's too late. He's like, man, we too old to be hanging out, and we too old for me to be showing you around, that type of thing. But who knows, man? We still have a child here that has not gone off to college. She's only, our daughter Skylar, she's only a freshman in high school, so we've got a couple of years. I think she has some interest in Hampton. Who knows? Maybe there's a child of mine that goes to Hampton. It never happened for me. But the thing is, the thing that I can say, even though my kids so far have gone to different schools that I have, or their parents have, with me and my wife being South Carolina State alums, it's cool. I tell my kids all the time, like, you have to go to school where you feel comfortable, where it feels like home for you, because you got to do those 4 years, not me. I'm probably never sitting in anybody's classroom ever again, unless they could show me where I could make, I don't know, an additional $7,500,000 more, then I'm probably not going to your classroom. So, but yeah, I would definitely graduate from Hampton. I can't say that I would want to be an Aggie from A&T or a Howard Bison. No disrespect. Again, no disrespect. There may be some of you that, because you've heard me talk so glowingly about South Carolina State, that if you had it to do it all over again and you had to graduate from another school, in answering this meme, you may say South Carolina State. That would be perfect. I would feel very happy about it. But for me, if I had to choose one, it'd be Hampton. But, I was, at the very least, I can say that in answering the question to the meme, Hampton chose me. I just didn't choose Hampton at the time, but based on this meme, I'd give him a shot and I'd be a pirate and it would all be all good. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday and every Sunday. Also, we have a new baby. It is called the Rap Soul Podcast. You can catch the Rap Soul Podcast wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. On the Rap Soul Podcast, it's the intersection where we have discussions about music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, hip-hop, soul, and R&B. Simply put, folks, it's the best music podcast that you've never heard. So make sure that you check it out. Also, if you'd like to contribute to this podcast financially, hit us up on Cash App. $TWELVEKYLE. Also, we have merch. Click this link in the description box. That way you can buy 12 Kyle podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. Once again, folks, this has been another edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for checking me out. I will catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheers.